I'm about to close out a leveraged Bitcoin position worth over $6,500 in profit. Here's exactly how it happened and how I plan on repeating this as the bull run escalates. So over the last few hours, the markets have been moving once again. Bitcoin breaking new all-time highs, currently sitting at a price of $79,800. And we broke that magic $80,000 level, which means that our super high risk buy the top leverage trade came into profit. It came in to take profit. Let me just talk you back through the rationale for that trade and where we started getting in. So I started getting long just before the US presidential election result. It started becoming clear that Trump was likely to win that, both from X and from services like Polymarket, who were starting to predict that Trump was going to be the winner. Of course, Trump was the pro-crypto candidate. And as we spoke about before, the likelihood was a Trump win would be a self-fulfilling prophecy regardless of policy changes he made in regards to crypto, just because that kind of got spoken into reality. Now, this kind of started getting priced in as he was winning. That's kind of a function of how the presidential election results come out and a function of the market being efficient. But I opted in this case to bet on the Trump win. So I scaled into this position the evening before the election, basically just not rating my chances of being able to call that in real time and react to the market response to that in real time. So we bet on the Trump win. That meant we were in some $2,500 profit going into the next day of trading. Now, we decided to buy the top. We decided to add to this position because, as I described in my intro video to this trade, I think that this was a historic all-time high. Now, obviously, every all-time high is historic, but because of what was promised to the industry by a Trump presidency was going to be so good for crypto, this specific all-time high break for me was something worth betting on. I was not the only one buying the top. We saw some absolutely stunning inflow days to the Bitcoin ETFs over the last couple of days from the 6th of November. 6th was a $621.9 million net inflow day. The 7th was an absolutely monumental $1.3 billion net inflow day, and over $1.1 billion worth of that was brought into IBIT. That is BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF, which we know BlackRock actually buys into themselves via some of their other funds. The 8th was also a totally solid net inflow day, $293.4 million net inflow, $206.1 million of that from BlackRock. Now, as the market started accepting prices above the former all-time highs, we could see a steady bid in the market. We looked at this in the order books. You can also kind of see it reflected in the chart. Things weren't terribly volatile and the trend was upwards. We also started identifying leverage in the markets. We started identifying a lot of short leverage in the market. Now, of course, short liquidation risk doesn't necessarily need to be realized, because obviously if you're in a short position, you can get out of that position before you become liquidated. The effect of a short-term liquidation and a short-term liquidation cascade is that much more potent when prices move up very quickly and those short positions get surprised and liquidated, right? They are forced to close that position, meaning they are forced to buy into the market. And that causes a sudden demand shock, increased demand, steady supply, prices go up. And so the cascade continues. And this is exactly what we saw over the last couple of hours. So this orange line here, drawn in at $77,740, was the level that we identified as being the peak short liquidation risk. And as you can see, sure enough, if I zoom in here to the 5-minute chart, you can see we poked up through that level, pulled back a little bit, and we just ripped up from there to get a measurement on that. From there to the new all-time highs, something like 2.84%. And that literally happened in a handful of 5-minute candles. So that was kind of the catalyst that we were looking for. It is the catalyst that we got. And you can see that reflected in the liquidation heat map as well. Over the last 24 hours, $121 million worth of positions liquidated in Bitcoin. And that is biased massively to the short side, $102.2 million versus $19.1 million worth of long positions that were liquidated. And all of that means our trade hit take profit. We had 0.5 BTC set to close on an automatic market take profit order. That closed out for $3,293. And I literally just closed the other half of that for $3,161.58. I put in a manual order, hit the ask just a few minutes ago. So that gives us a total net profit for this trade of around about $6,500. Once again, I'm trading on BTCC. You can see that last position went through here on the trading console as well. That means that this account is now worth 19,245.16 USDT. It was worth about 13 grand before we took this position. And it's very important to mention that because this was a high risk trade. right? We took this trade right at the top of the market. That's not something that I would normally do. I've explained some of the reasons why I got into this trade in the first place, but risk was managed very carefully in this case, okay? Our stop loss was very tight, and that stop loss was tied to an invalidation, which was this level here at 72,800. So we placed the stop loss a little bit below that. But what you can see here is the risk reward ratio for this trade was $6.45. So if we were going to make about $6.5 grand to win this position, what we were risking if we ended up losing this trade would have been about $1,000. Now, that is fairly large compared to a $13,000 account size, but it's not massive, right? A little bit less than 10%. But crucially, that account is small compared to the overall portfolio size, meaning even if we became literally liquidated, if that whole account blew up, it wouldn't affect the overall portfolio very much. I do not allocate a large portion of funds towards high risk leverage trading strategies such as this. Furthermore, I do not store crypto on a crypto exchange. I store crypto off exchange in cold storage. Accounts like this only exist to take advantage of short-term price movements when we can see an inefficiency in the market, i.e. we have a reason to believe something is going to happen in the market in the near future and we want to act upon that. And that is exactly what we've done here. Very happy with the result of that. And it can be tempting in times like this to get greedy, right? Get greedy like the rest of the market, currently at 78 Fear and Greed Index. However, I'm perfectly happy in this case to follow the plan of the trade through to the end, close out the entire position. That is totally fine. And the reason for that is I think things are about to start getting much more volatile, right? This move up through short liquidations is exactly the kind of thing that we were looking for to catalyze this trade, but it's also characteristic of what we've seen in past cycles. Once the market starts getting super greedy as we start coming into price discovery and things start getting pretty crazy to the upside. Now, obviously what goes up can and generally does come down again. I think if we see a continuation of very, very fast moves like this, it becomes even more likely that we start seeing fast moves to the downside like that as well, because I mean, you just need to take a look at the long liquidation risk, right? This is topping out right now at $3.58 billion worth of leveraged long risk at a price of $73,830. That being said, we've now pulled away properly from the all-time highs, okay? We're currently 8.08% up from the former all-time high. There's plenty of room for this to come down again and still look very, very healthy, very, very bullish. So there we have it, $6,500 in profit over the last 10 days or so. I'm very happy with that. We had a plan, we stuck to the plan, and we got the result. The market looks poised for more volatility and poised for more upside volatility, most importantly. But just like everything I've said in this video, not financial advice, purely for entertainment purposes. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. There is plenty more to come. Catch you in the next one. Bye.